finance. Finance from ABSA, going off the beaten track to find solutions. The Aston area outside Pietermaritzburg in KwaZulu-Natal had just quietened down after the Nissan Sugarbelt 400 prologue. Then the post-mortem started.
The pace is going to be hectic, you know. I just see on all the times now. I thought, yeah, we had a good time today. We did quite a brisk pace. And, yeah, the other guys were just going faster and maybe taking a little bit more chances, you know. It's still a long way tomorrow, and I think at the moment we're lying third, and I think that's a good place to lie with the new times that we're starting a minute apart, you know. You can creep up from the back and the guy in front of you won't know it, and then you beat him at the end by not even coming here first.
Ford had very little to do in the pits, and Schulthammer enjoyed himself.
It was pretty nice. It was a bit of everything. Very dusty. We caught up to Elfie, but no, it was a nice route, different, new, not everything what we've done before, which was quite nice. The last 10 k's was exactly what that's going to be the common route tomorrow. So it was nice. We had a few little high flyers, but it was good.
Cox was all smiles, but his memory had left him in the lurch. The route made it jump back.
Look, it's great to be back at the Sugarbelt again, but we always forget about the millions of jumps that are out there. And, you know, Sugarbelt's notorious for the rain trenches that they use for the forest, you know, to take the rain, the water. And I think we must have done about 60 or 100 of them now in the time trial. But I had a good time trial, but times are not what I'd like them to be. But tomorrow's a long day, and I think I'm just being a bit too cautious in this new SP that I'm driving.
Well, Cronje certainly wasn't, and loved it.
Yeah, we had a nice clean run. It was a tricky prologue. The first bit was very, very fast, and I was really enjoying it. And then all of a sudden, a nice sting in the tail. This thing just started getting tight and twisty and rough. And yeah, I'd had to just take the edge off. So we'll have to wait and see what the times look like. But yeah, I'm hoping that we did enough to get it to the top.
In Class E, championship contenders Thomas Rundle and Brian Roberts hadn't gone far when the earth hit right back.
Yeah, no, this is really disappointing. 14 k's in, we hit a bump really hard, and I immediately felt that we broke something in the front. And on further inspection, we've actually cracked the whole part of the top shock mount, right, you know, chassis right out of the body. So yeah, I don't know. We're going to try and fix it. Obviously, we will fix it. Try again tomorrow.
Let's hope they do. Berthold and Vermeulen had a good day in the office.
Yes, we had quite a nice approach today. We thought we'd just take it easy, make sure we bring the car home, and in so doing, we managed to put it in pole for the specials, which is nice. We're fairly used to being in this position. Hopefully we can hold it there for the duration of the race tomorrow.
And that's the trick. The second place crew had dust trouble.
Today was really difficult in the sense that there was a lot of dust hanging, and there was no wind. So hopefully, if it stays like this, the guys coming from behind will have a problem with the dust. So for me, I think we need to tap off a little bit. And yeah, and see how it goes, and keep the car together and bring it back to the end.
The prologue route caught out many a driver and navigator, leaving them bruised and battered.
Very eventful. It was a bit of a hard day in the office. We made some good time in the first 30 k's, and then we went over a blind rise. The road went to the left, and we went straight over. And we got stuck there for about 30 minutes. Yeah, we were very tired after getting the car out of there. But we made it home. There's lots of cars out there, broken down, rolled. We made it here. We're looking forward to tomorrow.
When that tomorrow dawned, it was another perfect KwaZulu-Natal day in the Midlands.
And the teams, cars and support crews were ready.
How did you find that right turn over there?
Well, I looked up and there it was.
The farming community loves this once-a-year gathering.
And the opportunity to rub shoulders with their off-road heroes.
Finally, though, it was 8 o'clock and time for Cronje and Birkin to saddle up and hit the road.
And a minute behind them, allowing for dust gaps, it was Voss and Pitchford.
Krobler and Moore, only racing together for the third time ever, were getting the combination right. They were just 54 seconds behind.
Cronje and Birken were looking for two on the trot and were soon into their stride.
But they had a misfire and it was affecting their pace.
Oh, now this gave Force the opportunity to slip, slide, jostle and bounce right up close.
The defending champion was ripping up the ground and the opposition.
While Grobler knew the pressure was on and the 51-year-old celebrating his 31st year in motorsport had to produce.
Again, actually.
Under leaden and darkening sky, Schulthammer directed Woolridge around the early parts of the first loop, and the Ford Ranger was sounding great.
And the local knowledge wasn't hurting either, it seemed.
But there was drama for Cronje and Birken up front.
They'd done one of their tyres a mishap and had to stop and change.
And that meant that the Nissans were gaining on them. Tollefson and Jordan were eating up the terra firma and moved up a place.
And so did the De Bruins in their Toyota.
With Chris Visser and Jaap Badenhorst trying to be quick, but to stay out of trouble all the same.
With all the early drama going on, Berthold and Vermeulen were under starters' orders and went sliding away.
The two Dons were next and were hoping to repeat their great form from the opening day during the two long loops of almost 350 kilometers that lay ahead.
But they would really have needed to perform miracles. There were a lot of big-name teams ready to take them down.
Including these lads, Hutchison and Bergman in their silver and black motorized Bat Spec 3, which they had to rebuild after the first edition burned to cinders.
These men, meanwhile, had burning ambitions.
Albertson Hunter on fire and pushing the Rapsa Bat all the way.
With Herman Silwalt and Paul Helberg in fifth in the specials and trying to temper the natural instincts to want to go fast, and on the other hand, conserving the car to ensure a finish.
Let's go in-car now with West and Ferguson Ford.
And that's Grobler and Moore off the road. They'd broken a lower ball joint after hitting a rock.
The question was, how much time would they lose trying to fashion some sort of repair?
Indeed, but no troubles like that early on for young Cry. He won 6 races out of 8 last season, but in Class B, he's the master at pacing.
And in Class D, the Race Sonics outfit was still just 19 seconds ahead of the competition after the first 10K's worth of racing.
In Class E, Peckham and Santoro were setting the pace and still had almost 5 minutes over their nearest competitors.
Yeah, but there's no doubt about it, Arnie. Force and Pitchford were having a banner day.
Well, the fitness fanatic who does such a fine job for the Japanese manufacturers was hunting for win number 2 in just 3 outings.
Yep, and with local lads Woolridge and Schulthammer slotting into second after going by Cronje and then Grobler.
The Nissan Sugarbelt has had a severe shake-up in the first few Ks.
Then into the more mountainous terrain, and here's where Ivar Tollefson and his stand-in co-driver Francois Jordan came into their own.
Meanwhile, Cronje and Birken were scrambling in the Castrol Toyota.
Yes, they were, and almost collected an intrepid photographer when they wrong-slotted here.
With all the position changes, the Micra and Excel dealer team Toyota, the De Bruins, was up into 4th and making a fist of it too.
Yeah, while Berthold, who has become something of a prologue specialist, wanted to finish this one in front of the specials.
He would have loved nothing more.
Silvalt and Helberg were next into view and had closed the gap on the leaders and passed Thompson and Blakely in the process.
That was really a great start. But the same could not be said for Hutchison and Bergman, who had steering shaft trouble and were just holding her back a bit.
Alberts and Hunter hadn't tasted victory for a while and were ready for a reminder. But first, they had to get to the designated service point and close some gaps.
That 6-litre Chev engine does sound mean, though.
Alfie Cox and Henny Testeja bustled by the next only Motorite SP entry after having to repair a flat early on.
With the men in second place on the ABSA Championship log, the Sugarbelts down a few places after having got stuck in the sugarcane themselves.
The two Dons were still firmly ensconced in the top 10 specials, and they were having a great first loop.
Not even one Class P car within shouting distance, actually.
Then former champion Terence Marsh, consistent, smooth, and patient.
And guess what? Nothing's changed.
The Regent Racing man was doing what he's done all his career, working the car and the route well.
His teammates Michael Whitehouse and Matthew Carson had however closed the gap on him, and after starting 9th, had moved up one place already.
And Visser and Badenhorst in their Castrol Toyota had got it going nicely.
Ferguson and West sped by in 7th place, doing the Ford cause no harm whatsoever.
Yeah, but then Visser got it stuck in the sugarcane.
Luckily, stablemates Taylor and Houghton were on hand to pull them out just a little later. Meanwhile, Moore and Klaassen in their Free Spirit Chev were also going hell for leather and doing a great job.
The Adenko bat in the hands of the Bezuidenhout's was holding station in second in Class P.
But Ferguson and West in the Ford Ranger were catching up and pushing hard.
Yeah, perhaps a little too hard, and whoa, there you go, over she goes.
Luckily, no serious harm done, just a bruised ego or two.
Taylor, a national title winner as a tender teenager, was certainly enjoying his first serious off-road outing for Castrol and Toyota.
And went past the stricken Ford Ranger after getting a thumbs up from Ferguson and West.
Yeah, who weren't over too long before they got all 4 bits of rubber back on terra firma, thank goodness.
It had rained the night before and some parts of the route was rather getting slippery, but Bez Bezuidenhout and Johan de Bruin were going very well.
With Cry and Furch closing the gap all the time to the men in front of them.
They were 4 places to the better already.
And Kutsia Labuskakny and Johan Gerber were doing much the same in Class D.
Keeping the pace and the pressure on in the lead.
Peckham and Santoro themselves had jumped a massive 9 places overall and were 66 seconds ahead in Class E.
With Cliff Weichelt and Jimmy Goff all over the back of them trying to get closer to the lead in Class D.
The Zermattens, meanwhile, wanted to help Jaco Swanepoel, but a bulky drive shaft wouldn't allow them.
I can't turn around here. What? Just go forward. No, you don't understand. I've got a drive shaft hassle. If I turn it, it'll snap. That's what we've been battling with for 2 years now.
Next time, perhaps. Visser and LaRue were running the roost in Class E, looking for their second win of the season. And we continue right after this.
Vehicles from ABSA, going the extra mile to get